Yeah. You ready? Nah, I mean, is you ready? Somebody ready for war? That Weezy. Lights is up. Wise man mad. They ready for war. Feeling all blacks is a trooper. Plan, plot, strategize, crucial. Gotta pick a side, no neutral. In the middle of a war as usual. Watch your back, they shoot. If your ops drop, better keep it moving. All we do is win, no losing. In the middle of a war as usual. In the middle of a war as usual. In the middle of a war as usual. Plan, plot, strategize, crucial. In the middle of a war as usual.
Yeah. Shalom. Shalom, Israel. Shalom. If you're tuning in. All right. Shalom. Priest and also Dawah Shah. Right. This is episode Infinity of War as Usual. I don't even know what episode number we on, but we live. All right. So we gonna get this show started. You know, I know y'all familiar with Lapayad Itazah. I'll just be holding it down real quick, briefly for today. Ain't gonna be too long with y'all. But if you tuning in, I definitely appreciate it. You know what I mean? Every brother or sister, whoever wants to tune in, every subscriber counts. So we appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, all of that. All right. So the title is Water versus Ice. All right. Texas floods. Is God response to ice raids? Right. If you haven't heard the news, not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was probably last week or so, where a rapid flood hit Texas and the death toll was pretty high. And and that happened soon after, where ICE agents was going out and doing raids in certain Mexican communities. So we're gonna talk about prove in the Bible on how this could possibly be God's response to the ice raids. Right, this flood is God responsible for that, man. No deed goes unpunished. God sees it all. And like the scriptures say, vengeance is of the Lord. So he takes vengeance however he seems fit for it. I mean, no casualty is too great for him, right? Is it that how it's viewed in the eyes of the oppressor? They don't take account for whether or not this person might be too young to be in ICE custody, or if this person is too of an elderly or old to be in ICE custody. The only thing they focus on is making sure they push their white supremacy agenda. All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm gonna thumb through the Bible real quick, and we're gonna get some verses about that. All right. Mm, mm, all right. I'm gonna start with uh, I'm gonna start with Psalms 83. All right, this is a verse in the Bible talking about the children of Israel. It's a lot different when you're by yourself. Let's see what I can do. Psalms 83. Mm, all right, there we go. All right, I'm gonna start at verse 1. All right, Psalms 83 and 1. It says, "Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God." Let me just say, "O God." All right. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the heads. Right? This is how they display their hatred towards God, right? By their cruelty to humanity. Right? Did not Christ say that you should love your neighbor as yourself? Right? I thought America was a Christian nation, but yet they are bent on separating families from each other. That's not something that somebody that loves somebody would do. Right? Their hatred towards God's people is a hate. It's a direct hatred towards God. Right? The Mexican people did nothing to the American government to deserve something like this. And the unfortunate thing is they are the only ones that's being targeted. Right? I'm gonna read on. Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Right? Not everybody belongs to God, but Mexican people they do. Hispanics, so-called Hispanics, they do, right? They belong to God. The Haitians, they belong to God because they are part of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? They are God's chosen people, right? All right. I'm gonna read on, verse 4. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation," right? Long, long ago, if you don't know, I'm here to tell you blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous people, so called blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous people, were a nation of their own. Right? This is something that we're unfamiliar with, right? Because this is not commonly taught in American history. Right? But at one point, prior to us being in slavery, prior to us being colonized and having the conquistadors and this land stripped from the native Indians, they were considered a nation. We all was considered a nation. Can you guess who that nation is? Right? If you're thinking African, you're wrong. Right? Africa is a continent. I mean, You know what nation they come from? I'm going to read on. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Black, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the real Israelites. They are the biblical Israelites. We descend from the 12 tribes of Israel. This is who we are. This is our true identity. That's the nation we were prior to us being called what? Black, Haitian, Puerto Rican, Jamaican, when these are all names that was given to us by our slave masters, right? After they conquered us, they named us after themselves and forced us to speak their language. I think it's important for us to know at least what language we spoke before we became slaves, before we spoke English, before we spoke French, Spanish, right? Don't you think that's quite important, right? But these are things that we're not familiar with. We're not being taught. You know why? Because they're trying to cut us off from being a nation. All right. I'm read the latter part of verse 4 again. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Right. This is what their plan is. And it's started thousands of years ago. And it's still continuing till this day. Right? It also increased during 1492 when Christopher Columbus sailed over here. This land used to belong to the Mexican people, to the Native Indians, right? The European man don't own a damn thing on this land. Who the hell gave him the right to tell other races who belong here and who don't belong here? If anything, he doesn't belong here. But yet he has all the audacity to tell the Mexican people who home this is that they are illegal immigrants. He sends out his goons, his thugs, to go in their communities and separate them from their families. Right? God is upset with that. God is upset. Right? I'm gonna read further down in the chapter. All right, I'm gonna start at verse 13. It says, "Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind." All right, hurricanes. When hurricanes come through, who you think is doing all of that? Right? Who you think has control over the weather? I know all your tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, believers out there, and heart and all that. I understand, right? They listen. White men, the oppressors, technology, possibly, right, can do things to manipulate the weather. But I no, I refuse to believe in conspiracies. That's just the personal thing, right? I refuse to believe that he has 100% control over the weather. No, like, God is the one that has 100% control over it because he created it. The same way he has 100% control over man. He decides who lives and who dies, who's in rulership and who's on the bottom. God decides all of that. He decides wars. He decides conflicts. This is what God decides on his earth because he's in control of everything. So when you see the weather start to act up and these storms start to blow through, who you think is doing that? I'm going to read on. Verse 14, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountain on fire. Like, this is what God does, man. I think, was it last year or so, or 2 years ago, or whatnot? I mean, it happens quite often, but the fires that was going on in California, when California was burning down, and here's the irony behind that. While California was burning down, guess who they sent in the midst of danger to fight off those fires. You think they was sending America's finest, right? They was sending those same people that Donald Trump and his regime love to call illegal immigrants. They were the ones that was risking their lives to fight those fires. And these are natural disasters that God is doing because of what's happening to these people. Right? What's happening to these people is unfair and inhumane. Nobody should go through what so-called Hispanic people are going through. Like if you can understand how inhumane the things that they're facing, you will understand that ICE, America, all of it should be obsolete. Like it's a sad state of circumstances. It's very unfortunate. Nobody else is going through this. So instead of us having to fight back, because the best thing we can do is just protest and march and hold signs. We don't have the power to combat this beast. So that's when the divine intervention comes in. Now, I mean, that's where God steps in and he flexes his muscles by burning down Hollywood. You know what I mean? It don't stop there. There's some more. Verse 15. So persecute them with thy tempest and make them afraid with thy storm. Is that what came through Texas? A whole storm flooded it, and it was so rapid. Man, it like the flood came in like a span of 30 minutes. The whole thing flooded right there in Texas. And Texas is a major border where they say a lot of illegals are crossing. And God came through and shut it down. Not by the hands of man, not by the might of harp or anything else, but by the power of God. He brought that storm through. All right. And if you understand anything about God, and you, like most people claim they do, and they are so one with Him, and they have a great relationship with God and a personal relationship with God, you will understand that this is the right thing to do. All right. All right. Our kids are suffering. Mexican kids are suffering. And it's unfortunate. Most people won't understand what that suffering feels like unless it's their children. All right. Unless it's their children. God set that storm, that flood that came through. They said it was like about 100 kids, 30 kids that passed away, right? I think all in total is like 100+ casualties. But within those 100 deaths, about 30 children passed away. And don't nobody want to see their child pass away. I understand. But if you can understand that anybody on this earth who know what that feels like, who knows what that pain and that hurt and that trauma feels like, why would you pass it on to somebody else who's just trying to get by and make a living? Somebody had to remind you of how cruel you're being. And this is what God did. I'm going to read verse 15 one more time. So persecute them with thy tempest. Tempest is that storm, that hurricane, strong wind blowing through, blowing in the waters, right? And make them afraid with thy storm, floods, rain, hail, tornadoes, whatever the case may be. God has his hand in it. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. right? If you like, I mean, they got the story of the 10 plagues is so popularized and in the Christian religion that people look past the fact that God is still the same God that existed in the time of Moses. You don't think God is going to plague this earth when they are doing the same wickedness that the ancient Egyptians were doing back then? If God didn't give them a pass back then, what makes you think He's gonna give them a pass now? Oh, you think God is just gonna, turn the other, turn the blind eye and turn the other cheek and just, it's okay. Children are being separated. It happens. C'est la vie. It's like, nah, that's not. It's not a. That's that don't sound just. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, because once it happens to them, then that's when it becomes an issue. But when it happens to us, we're supposed to take it to the chin. Nah, man. You know what I mean? God is a just God, and this is His response to ice raids. The water melts ice. You know what I mean? Your arm is too short to box with God. You cannot overpower God, especially when you're oppressing His children. Right? Let's get some more. I'm gonna get some more on this. Right? I'll show you that God is the one that did this. Right? Yeah. Let me get Nahum in the Bible, and then we'll get a couple videos of the flood. Like I said, this is gonna just be brief. I ain't gonna be too long winded. Just dolo for today. So if you tuning in, man, I listen. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Who wants to hear what the hell I got to say? So the fact that you're sitting here, hearing me talk to myself, you know what I mean? I appreciate it. All right. So let me go to Nahum. We're gonna go to chapter 1, verse 3. Right. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power. Right. The Bible says that the Lord, His greatest attribute is His mercy. Right. But when His mercy runs out, right? When His mercy runs out and it's time for Him to actually show His power, oh man, that's something that you don't want to see, right? God don't like being taken advantage of. He's a understanding God, long suffering. He understands His creations, but don't get it twisted. Don't think you can play in His face and God is just gonna let things slide. Right? He is slow to anger, but He's also great in power. Right? I'm gonna read on. It will not at all acquit the wicked. Right? The wicked. Let's examine the wicked. Who is the wicked in this case? If we had to put two and two together, who is the wicked in the case? Is the hardworking people that's crossing the border just to make a living for their family due to their own country being overran with uh, violence and poverty? Is that more wicked than somebody actually going into these people workspaces, pulling them away from their families, locking them up into some unknown area, right? Oh yeah, and they got the alligator Alcatraz. Wow. That is wicked. They pulling them away from their workplaces, separating from their family, shipping them all the way to Florida to some dangerous swampy area filled with snakes and alligators to sit there for God knows what. All right, God, who knows how long they sitting there. Right, I'm guaranteed they don't have access to uh, nourishments. They don't have access to refreshments. They ain't in there washing up and brushing their teeth every day, right? I'm guaranteed they're not giving them the proper nutrition that they need. All right, they're sitting there like they're in a concentration camp, literally surrounded by predators. And this is what's happening to them because all they want to do is provide a better life for their family. So which one would you say is wicked then? The hard worker that came here illegally, or the one that's what right word I want to use? Kidnapping, or the one that's kidnapping them and sending them into a concentration camp. Right? It sounds like the one that's doing the kidnapping is the wicked, right? And the ones that's doing that is these ICE agents, right? The Lord is saying He's not going to let y'all go scot free. He's not going to acquit y'all. Right? You are guilty for what you're doing. It's wrong to do that, and God is going to show His power. I'm gonna read about what in which ways He shows His power. Right? Read on. The Lord hath His way in the whirlwind and in the storm. Let me read that one more time, just in case you ain't. Right? The Lord hath His way in the whirlwind and in the storm. Mm, mm, mm. So God is the one. You mean to tell me God is the one that's bringing these storms through? He's the one that's bringing these floods through. Damn right He is. Because when it comes to His people, when it comes to Mexican people, God does not play about His people, man. He'd rather get rid of 100 of theirs before you harm one of His. That's how God rolls, man. This is just the beginning, right? You can refuse to believe this or not. I don't give a care, right? Most people are full of crap anyways. They say they love God and they care about Jesus and all blood is red, except when it comes to these quote unquote illegal immigrants. That's when we can, bend the rules a little bit, be inhumane, right? And I guarantee all these ICE agents, they all think they're probably just the most wholesome human beings alive, right? Like if you have a heart, how could you go out there, regardless of what they're paying you? How could you go out there and do something like that? Anybody with a heart would not subject themselves to this. You know what I mean? Strip yourself of your integrity and your self-worth just for a paycheck. It's just a shame, you know? You know what you're doing is wrong. You're kidnapping God's people, causing them harm, causing them trauma, right? And God is upset. So you know what He did? He said, enough is enough. I'm gonna flood Texas. Flood them all up. All right. Let me get one more. And then we'll get a little videos, and then I guess we be out. You know what I mean? Maybe I should read on. Let me read on a little bit, right? Verse 4, it says, He rebuketh the sea and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languish, and Carmel, and the flowers of Lebanon languish. Verse 5, the mountains quake at him, and the hills melt. The earth is burned at His presence, yea, the world and all that dwell therein. Yeah, man. Let me read some more. It just keeps on getting better. Salakia. Verse 6. Who can stand before His indignation? Who can abide in the fierceness of His anger? Y'all better get out the way. The Lord anger is coming through. Y'all better get out the way. That's how God rolls, man. He ain't sparing nobody. Women, children, they all can get it. You know what I mean? And if you love the fact, and I'll say it like this, right? I'll just speak for people who actually have a conscience, right? If you are hurt by the fact that children are dying because of these floods, right? Then you should examine yourself as a nation to see what are we doing against God that's causing these things to happen. Right? That's the problem with the proud. The proud never reconsiders their ways. They never look back and see, maybe there's something that we're doing to other people's children that causing us to have our children be put in this situation. Right? It's an unfortunate thing on both ends. So to make things better, why not just examine your behavior to see what you're putting out there to cause this to come and return unto you, right? Where was that at? Right, verse 6: Who can stand in his anger before the nation? Who can abide in his fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. Lord, do not play, man. I'm telling you. Y'all think y'all the problem is y'all sit in these churches every Sunday. I'm pretty sure what is today? Sunday. I'm sure everybody went into church. They probably even told you to pray for Texas. They probably told you to do that. But here's the hypocrisy of it all. Why is it there is no pastor standing up and speaking against these ice raids? Like, is it not Christianity the organization of humanity? Right? Why they're not actually using their voice, their platform, right? This is a global religion, probably the most largest religion on this earth. Why aren't they banding together to do something effective to help stop these ice raids? You won't hear a peep. But yet, when these floods hit, everybody is compelling you to pray for Texas, donate to Texas, find a way to get out there so you can help in Texas. When you're just full of crap, man. Can't have it both ways. If you're gonna be right all the time. Be one way. Be consistent with your love, Christians. Texas need help. Yeah, well, they're not the only ones that need help too. There's others that need help. Long before that natural disaster hit. Long before then, there was others that needed help, and nobody was willing to give a helping hand. So God had to step in. That's how it's done, right? And as long as America continue with these ice raids, God is going to continue to plague America. I'm telling you, right? Run and tell that. Ask your pastor about that. Ask your pastor, well, is God angry with us? Hmm? I wonder if your pastor will even allow you to even ask that type of question in church. You should ask your pastor that. Do God hate us? Right? Let me get one more, and I'm gonna get some videos. Alright. Like I said, appreciate for rocking out, man. Whoever is rocking out. Throw a comment, throw up a like, do something. You know what I mean? Let me know I'm not going crazy and just talking to myself. Alright. Uh, hold on. Mhm. Alright. I'm gonna go to Psalms. Go to Psalms 137. It is. If I'm not mistaken. Y'all bear with me. Bear with me. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a good one. Let's read this. All right. I'm at Psalms 137. I'm gonna start at verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Y'all know who Edom is? Anybody? Hey, shout out. Most High in Christ. All right. So I'm not there yet. I'm not all the way crazy. I'm getting there. Right. But I'm pretty sane for now. But I appreciate for rocking out with it. Most High in Christ. So this is gonna be brief, right? So Edom. I know who Edom is. Edom is the nation that comes from Esau. Esau is the progenitor of the so-called white race, right? Right. The white man. Correct, correct, correct. Kudos. If I can get some applause in here. Let me see. I'll give you a 21 gun salute. There you go. Best I can do. Yes, correct. You know what I mean? So-called white man, right? So this is in regards to them, right? It says, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, right? The word raise, spelled Rase, means destroy, right? Edom was in 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 a cahoots of making sure that they destroyed Jerusalem, right? I'm gonna read on, even to the foundations thereof. Verse 8, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, right? Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Right? Stuff like this brings God good joy. You know why? Because it appease his wrath. You know what I mean? He's angry and he needs some resolution to his anger. The right thing to do was to flood Texas. There you have it. That's it. You know what I mean? He flooded Texas. Texas is underwater and bodies are being piled up. The only solution to stop this, Edom, is to stop with your ICE raids. But you're too proud to understand that. You know, way too proud as a people to understand that. Right. So that was real quick. Let me just get some videos, y'all. And then we out. OUT. Alright. Let me show y'all what these floods looking like. Better yet, let me show you what these ice raids looking like. And I'll show y'all that. I think that's more. Let's see what these ice raids. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. What I just I want to show you what I just found right here. The title's pretty interesting. So let's see what it's
Very
about.
good to have you with us today. You see William Lajeunesse numbers about prior administrations removing greater numbers of people than the Trump administration. And during those removals, we did not see violence. We didn't see rocks thrown at vans. We didn't see agents who were followed from the beginning of their trip there all the way to the end, as if it certainly appears somebody tipped them off. So what is going on, Director? Do we have Director Lyons?
Nah, his house is flooded.
Can you hear me now, Martha?
Oh, there
Hi.
you go.
Okay,
Hi.
Director Lyons, it's Martha McCallum. Thank you, sir. I know you're very. My question to you, if you didn't hear it, was, we just put up this information on the screen that shows that there were more of these workplace operations in prior administrations, and yet they were not met with, people following the vans as they went along and throwing rocks at them, and the violence that your agents are encountering. So what is going on?
No, Martha, thank you for having me today. And I really appreciate you highlighting that, because I was a young agent and a young supervisor back under those administrations, and we didn't have these issues. Now you have people blatantly shooting firearms at federal law enforcement officers. And I really appreciate you highlighting that.
I want to examine
Your
these
agents
numbers real quick. Can y'all see these numbers? How do I put out the caption? There you go. Y'all see these numbers? All right. ICE enforcement and removal operation arrest with Obama first term. Like, this is not only a Trump issue, this is an American issue. America has an issue with Mexican people. America has an issue with Black people, with Haitian people, with Hispanic people. It always has had an issue with God's chosen people. How you think this country was founded? Right? Instead of us, right? Of course, Trump is a beast and he's a devil and he deserves all the slack for everything that's going on with these ICE raids. But we should look at America as a whole and not only be against what Trump and his campaign is doing, but also be against what America is doing as a nation. Right? The philosophies, the beliefs of America, the way the society is ran, we should be totally and completely against it as a people. We should want to separate ourselves from the way this place thinks, from the way this place acts and behaves, and from the way this place treats human beings. We should separate from it all and form a nation that's 100% better. Because I guarantee you, once Trump leaves office, this is not going to stop. Regardless who you have, what face you put up there in the White House, you could put the most darkest Negro on there. All right, these ICE raids will still continue, man, and it's only targeting so-called Latinos, Hispanics, man. All right.
And the violence that your agents are encountering. So what is going on?
No, Martha, thank you for having me today. And I really appreciate you highlighting that, because I was a young agent and a young supervisor back under those administrations, and we didn't have these issues. Now you have people blatantly shooting firearms at federal law enforcement officers. It's incredible. We've always heard from the left and other organizations, if ICE only had a criminal warrant. Well, we had a criminal warrant. We were going after a marijuana grow facility, which happens to.
This is lies, right? This is Fox News, of course, right? And I'm not into all that whole political wokeness and all that crap. But yes, they all have their biases, whether it's from the left or the right. And I ain't with neither. You know what I'm saying? Of course, the right has its biases as well too, right? They're not looking for criminals. That's not what they're doing. They're literally going to farms and arresting so-called illegal immigrants, going to warehouses, plantations, and arresting people during their work schedule. Like, this is what they're doing. Like, a criminal is not going to be at a job working a 9 to 5. I mean, like, if the crime is so bad, like, why you don't hear the story of them being arrested during a big drug bust, right? If the crime of illegal immigrants is so heinous and so out of control, why don't you ever hear about some crazy sting of, I don't know, trafficking or drug, you know, illegal drugs being smuggled, or you don't hear none of those type of arrests. Every time you hear the arrest of illegal immigrants, it has to do with them being in the workplace. It's crazy. That should tell you something. Right? They're profiling these people. They're not targeting nobody. First of all, you cannot target an illegal immigrant. You know why? Because there's no documents on them. Right there, you can't follow up with them. You cannot trace them down. You cannot follow. There's no documents. They have no social security. They'll have no birth certificate. How do you pinpoint these people? The only way they do it is by profiling. They look Mexican enough, up, you must be illegal. They look Hispanic enough, up, must be illegal. Look Haitian enough, you must be illegal. That's how they do it. Racial profiling. All right, I'm gonna continue on.
Donate to Governor Newsom. And we did it the right way that everybody wanted, serving a criminal warrant against an American business that's harboring and trafficking illegal immigration. And
yes, I just want to speak on this point. This is a very, very great point, right? There's videos of this. And if I can find it, because I'm not trying to be too long on here, but if I can find it immediately after this vid, I'll play it on here, where they're actually in the courthouses. Like, they're actually these illegals are actually so-called illegals, right? Are actually trying to do their due diligence and going through the proper process of becoming legalized and getting citizenship in this country by going to the courthouse, thinking they're doing the right thing, right? This is what's possibly going in their mind. They're doing the right thing, going into the courthouse. Today, I might get my nationalization, get some citizenship, or some protective status, whatever the case may be, right? But they go there with ICE agents waiting at the door of the courthouse. Man, I seen a video of a man, and man, I hope I can find it. A video of a man with his wife and his child, right? Man just started breaking down and crying because these ICE agents was trying to pull him away from his kid at the courthouse. After he was there to do the right thing, right? He's there to do the right thing. He's not being a criminal. He's not running from y'all. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. Crazy. Like, I don't know. People's missing the point. Maybe we've been desensitized to BS now. I don't know. It's 2025. There's a whole bunch of crap going on. I guess everybody's a little bit crazy. So it's like normalized. But if you are set apart from the ways of this society and look at it from a third person point of view, right? Not a part of this society, but from the outside looking in, you will see how inhumane and sick and crazy this is. Like, this is not normal. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. But yet, you know, it's just, this is what's going on. This is why people are protesting. White man can't believe why people protesting. This is why. You don't do stuff like this. All right. Continue on.
now that we're finding out, forced labor of children, and here we are being protested against, assaulted, deadly weapons, rocks. It's unacceptable. And Martha, I hate to say it, it's all because of the rhetoric of the left and what a lot of elected officials are putting a bullseye on ICE just for doing their law enforcement mission.
I mean, this is absolute chaos, Director. We're just watching this video again, and things being hauled at these windows. I mean, it's a miracle that none of your agents were killed. I know that you've said this keeps you up at night. How are these agents holding up in the face of having to do their job under these circumstances?
They're holding up great, Martha. They're brave men and women, but I have to tell you, it's getting taxing on them. The workforce is getting tired of this. It's dangerous. Those rocks can actually kill people. I mean, you saw those vehicles being attacked. That's it. I mean, those are deadly weapons, and ICE is doing.
Oh, fucking who? God damn. You see how weird, yo, the white man is just, he's not human. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. I don't know what be going through his head. It's weird. You know what I mean? Like, anybody with a conscience will understand why these people are upset. Anybody, you know what I mean? So let's get some real stuff that's heartbreaking. You know, ICE agents protected by the government, that's not heartbreaking. Let me see if I can find the exact one of Buddy with his family. Family. Put family instead. Is this him? Let me put attempt. Y'all bear with me. I want to find that video, yo. Damn, I might just click on Buddy right here. But damn, it was a good video, man. Like, this dude was crying, bro. He broke down in tears. I could imagine the betrayal he probably feels too. Like, damn, I'm trying to do the right thing. You know, that alone could provoke somebody to be a criminal.
Well, the federal agency ICE targeting immigration court for a second day. Our cameras captured people being taken away by agents, including families. KENS 5 reporter Megan Reyna has been following these developments, and she joins us live downtown now with the very latest on this. Megan.
Well, Sarah, according to an immigration attorney today, the people taken into custody showed up to immigration court for a preliminary hearing. In the past, they were able to appear virtually or via Zoom, but they were told they needed to come in person, and then a judge dismissed their cases. That allows them to become eligible for expedited removal. It's a decades-old program that allows ICE to fast-track deportations for people who have been in the country for less than 2 years. Yesterday, an ICE spokesperson said they were reversing former President Biden's so-called catch and release program. Our cameras captured an emotional mother and child as they were being taken away by agents. We spoke with her husband and attorney. Take a listen.
Mis hijas esperándonos en la casa. 6 niñas tengo. Dependen de nosotros.
We were requesting a merits hearing, and the judge declined to set a merits hearing because DHS asked for the case to be dismissed and the client to be ordered removed, saying that it was not in the government's interest to hear a full case.
And these changes in operations are obviously evoking fear for people who have upcoming hearings at immigration court. But if they don't show up, a judge can order them to be deported. Reporting live downtown, Megan Reyna, KENS 5.
Man, that is.
If you are sleeping in a position like this,
that is crazy. Now that's something to be. That's something to be upset about, to be sad about, right? Over these ICE agents, right? In the video, they had to blur out their face because it was a young child, you know, little child being separated from their family, right? At the courthouse. Not at some drug house or some drug, sting, like they're trying to paint the narrative that they're only after the criminals. No, but trying to do the right thing, trying to do the legal thing by becoming legal, but yet still in all your oppressor, who is the devil, right, who can't be trusted, is going out there and arresting them at the courthouse. So you know what God did? Let me show you what God did. Let's get some of that. All right. The Bible says you reap what you sow. Whatever a man sows, that shall he reap. If you sow into despair and trauma and harm, guess what you're going to get in return? You're going to get that exact in return. Right? You're going to get despair, trauma, and harm happening to you. Because you're sowing nothing but cruelty in this earth. So God is going to respond with his own cruelty, what you call cruelty, but what is just for his people. Right? Let me get a video. I'm gonna show you. Look. Let's get that. You want to see what God did? Let me show y'all.
Exhausting search for the missing in Texas Hill Country. At this hour, 166 people are still unaccounted for. At least 121 people are now dead. And tonight we have learned about this code red alert that many residents had signed up for, and when it actually came, for many, several hours after the emergency unfolded. Trevor Ault from Texas Tonight.
Tonight, the agonizing search efforts in the Texas Hill Country. Officials say there's 166 people still missing, the number barely budging in 48 hours.
This is the kind of terrain that these search crews are dealing with, a flipped over vehicle, all this debris that's piled up high. We have a rescue crew right here. They've got a dog with them. They say they've been at it since day one, and in that time, they have found 2 people.
The death toll now up to 121 as officials respond to new questions about delayed warnings. Our affiliate KSAT obtaining a recording of a first responder at 4:22 a.m. asking a dispatcher to send out an emergency alert.
The Guadalupe Shoemaker sign is now underwater on Highway 39. Is there any way we could send a code red out to our Hunt residents asking them to find higher ground or stay home?
Standby, we have to get that approved with our supervisor.
That code red sends a pre-recorded message to residents who signed up for the warning service. According,
she said, "Hell no, nigga, hold up." They just, that shows how stupid they are. But let me go on.
The dispatch audio, it wasn't sent out until 90 minutes later, and some people didn't receive it until 10 a.m. Today, officials promising a review of the entire emergency response.
Our city of Kerrville and Kerr County leadership are committed to a transparent and full review of processes and protocols.
I mean, this is just wreckage.
Jeeper Ragsdale says he woke up to a call from his sister Jane, the co-owner of Heart of the Hills Girls Camp. The camp was not in session, but she was there, the water rising inside her home, and she was trapped.
Told me, she's like, it's already at the bed. I can't get out. It's like, break windows out. Just get out. And she did it.
Jane died in her home, much of her beloved camp now in ruins. But Jeeper says her phone call gave him enough time to save people on his own property.
A lot of people got saved. And some of it was because of Jane.
And David, more teams from around the country are on their way here to help in Texas. Search crews have been using sonar, drones, and chainsaws, and officials are urging residents not to disturb these giant piles of debris because there could be victims inside. David?
Yeah, the gruesome search continues there, and we're thinking about all those families again tonight. Trevor, thank you.
There you have it. There you have it, y'all. All right, this is what God did. God did. All right, this is what the Lord did. You know what I mean? He the one that brought the storm through because America.
You have something in your home right now that could make you thousands of dollars and literally change your financial.
All right, because America can't stop being cruel
future. Books.
To his people. All right. My bad, I was distracted. Yeah, can't stop being cruel, man. I'm gonna read y'all one more verse and we up out of here. I'm gonna go to Joel chapter 3. We're gonna start at verse verse 7. Joel 3 and 7. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. Joel chapter 3, verse 7 says, Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them. Talking about us. We were sold. The oppressor, so-called white man, America is the one that is guilty of this. All right? Who knows what they're doing with the children that's being arrested by ICE? Who knows? They're already undocumented. Who's to say they're not out there doing God knows what? You know what I mean? We've just seen how Trump said he wants to drop the conversation of Jeffrey Epstein. No longer are they looking into Jeffrey Epstein files. You know, these are rich white elites. You know what I mean? They are arresting and kidnapping these kids. God knows what they're doing with them. All right. He said, Behold, I will raise them out of the place. He's going to give us salvation, black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. We should trust in the Lord and not trust in these politicians. Not trust in religion, but trust in your God. Right? And he will return your recompense upon your own head. Right? He's going to return the recompense upon your own head, America. However you think you can make this right, it's far too late. You have crossed the line. You crossed the line. When you get to messing with children, you cross the line. Did not Christ say that those that harm one of these little ones is better that he has a millstone tied around his neck and cast into the sea? I'm paraphrasing, right? This is how God feels about when you harm one of his little ones. Right? And the line has been crossed. There's no coming back from this, America. Everything else from here on out will be the downfall of America. You seeing these wars that's going on? Who you think is doing that? God is doing that. God is getting ready to bring a great judgment to America for the cruelty of how it's treating his people, the Mexican people. This God sees everything that's going on. I did not, when Pharaoh was killing the firstborn of the Hebrews, did not God go and return and unalive the firstborn of every Egyptian? Right? God is about what's fair and what's right. If you sow into harming and unaliving his people, that's exactly what you're going to get in return. So with that, man, close it. I appreciate y'all for sticking around, for sitting up. Shayara, big shout out to you, man. We definitely gotta, give back, man. I'm gonna talk to the other brothers, see what we can do. For the loyal listeners and viewers, you know what I mean? It shows the mental sickness of them. Yeah, man, they sick in the head. They're not human. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that the oppressor is human. Something don't click with them. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that you see out of a horror movie. All this kidnapping that's going on of Hispanic people, like, you could make a horror film out of this. And it will be a top seller. You understand what I'm saying? Because this is not normal. You're not supposed to be seeing stuff like this. But God got his way of responding. All right. So y'all better get your act right, America. So with that, man, Shalom, y'all.
Yeah. You ready? Nah, I mean, is you ready? Somebody ready for war? That Weezy. Lights is up. Wise man mad. They ready for war. Getting all blacks is a trooper. Plan, plot, strategize, crucial. Gotta pick a side, no neutral. In the middle of a war as usual. Watch your back, they shoot. If your ops drop, better keep it moving. All we do is win, no losing. In the middle of a war as usual. In the middle of a war as usual. In the middle of a war as usual. Plan, plot, strategize, crucial. In the middle of a war as usual.